we are going to be doing another Premier League review today. I'm going to be talking about the weekend football results in the Premier League and across Europe today. So, Premier League game week 33 has concluded, and it was a pretty big one because we had a lot of stuff confirmed. We had some relegations confirmed. We almost had the title confirmed, and we had some big results in the race for Champions League football. So we'll discuss all of that in today's video, and at the end we'll touch on some of the other results in the other leagues because there were some big results in some title races too. As always, let me know your thoughts and opinions on any of the games we discuss in the video, and also remind I'm filming this before Tottenham vs Nottingham Forest, which will probably have happened by the time you watch this. So yeah, that'll be a big game for the race for the Champions League, which we'll get onto, but let's just get into it. So we'll start with this game, Brentford 4, Brighton 2. Two goals from Brian and Buemo, a goal from Johan Wissa and Christian Norgard, Danny Welbeck and Matoma, and a red card in this game too for Joao Pedro. So, a absolutely crazy game on display here. 6 goals and a red card. Absolutely insane game at the G-Tech, and it was quite a big one because it was pretty much winner sort of stays in the race for Europe, and the loser would be pretty much out. So Brentford came out on top in this one. They finally won a game at home. It's been a very long time since they've done so. But yeah, they finally won this game against Brighton in a pretty chaotic one. They managed to hold on in the end. They were 3-1 up. Then Brighton got a red card. Joao Pedro sort of lashed out on Nathan Collins. It's pretty funny because I remember him in the reverse fixture doing a sort of similar thing, and he escaped a red card, but this time he got the red. And you're thinking, okay, from that point it's going to be comfortable for Brentford, but actually Brighton managed to score, and Brighton were piling on the pressure late on and almost even managed to claw it back despite being a man down. But then a late goal from Norgard sealed the deal. And yeah, as I mentioned, this was pretty much a do-or-die situation for both teams if they wanted to have any chance of qualifying for Europe next season, and Brentford came out on top, and well, we'll look at the table later, but I'll just show you now. It does keep Brentford in a position where they might be able to get into the Conference League. They might be able to do it. That race for the Conference League spot is going to be very, very interesting, because so obviously the top 5 gets Champions League now, and then 6 will get Europa League, and then I think 7th will also get Europa League, but this depends on who wins the FA Cup. It's all a bit complicated, but all I know is for now I think 8th will get Conference League. So Brentford had to win to keep their chances of that, and they did. So it was a massive win for them. And obviously Brighton are technically still ahead of Brentford in this, but I think Brighton's hopes are almost done because it was another poor display. They were cut open so easily by Brentford on the counter-attack, and it's another loss. Their form has just been so poor. I think they haven't won a game in their last 5, so I don't particularly see them going into Europe because their form is just so bad. They're now missing one of their best players for the next game. Yeah, the season started off really well, but has really petered out. It's pretty disappointing if you're a Brighton fan, but if you're a Brentford fan, you can start believing. 5 games to go. Let's see what they can do, because it would be pretty special if they got into Europe. Next up, Crystal Palace 0, Bournemouth 0, a red card for Chris Richards in this one. So, it was a little bit of a similar situation here. I mean, Palace, their hopes have sort of been dashed in the last week where they've been battered, like conceded 5 in the last 2 games, back to back. But I mean, a win here maybe would have given them a chance of getting in Europe, but they drew in the end. But it was a hard-fought draw, considering they were down to 10 men for an entire half. And as I mentioned, they've conceded 5 against Man City and then conceded 5 against Newcastle in their last 2 games, and going down to 10 for a game, even though they didn't win, they'll be more than happy to keep a clean sheet. Would be very, very welcome. And to be fair, I mean, it was definitely a second yellow for Chris Richards, no complaints, but they can be a little bit hard done by because Alex Scott similarly sort of made 2 professional fouls, and for me should have also been sent off if Chris Richards was sent off, so maybe that would have changed things as well, 10v10, but yeah, in the end Crystal Palace drew. It was quite a feisty game as well. There was a funny moment, I think it was, let me see if I can get it here, yeah, so Justin Cliver and Ismail Sarr also had a little flare up, and like Ismail Sarr's like shorts just completely came down when they were like face to face. It's a bit weird, but yeah, that was pretty funny. I mean, yeah, in the end there was no goals, and this Bournemouth had some chances, but overall didn't really create too much. And Bournemouth, another team like Brighton, their season is just fizzling out right now. They're still in the position to get a European spot, but yeah, I mean, 1 win in their last 5. This is a real opportunity here against 10 men to get a win, but they failed to do so. So they'll be very disappointed about that. Everton 0, Manchester City 2. Got some Nico O'Reilly and Mateo Kovacic. So Manchester City find a late breakthrough versus Everton to, I guess, secure their top 5 aspirations here. It was a very hard-fought victory, and it was definitely a game I thought could be a potential banana skin for them. Goodison Park, away from home, we all know the form David Moyes' side had been in going into this, and it did prove quite difficult. City were by far the better team, but Everton were resolute. They defended very deep and very well for the most part. City had a couple chances, but Pickford made some decent saves, and it looked like it was just not going to be City's day until Nico O'Reilly, the midfielder turned left back, who's been a bit of a revelation in the last few weeks at left back since that Bournemouth FA Cup game. He has really claimed that spot as his and comes up with a huge goal in the 84th minute to get the breakthrough, which could be absolutely massive. And then Kovacic put a seal on deal with a pretty very good, I will say, actually finish. He was like falling down and managed to score. But yeah, that goal honestly could be huge when we look back at the end of the season for Man City, because if they drew here, I mean, it wouldn't have been the end of the world, but a win here is just absolutely huge for them. I think that's like 3, maybe 4 wins in a row now for them. They're sort of getting into that groove again, aren't they? We all know Man City, when it comes to crunch time, we're used to them in the title races, of course, historically. They win like the last 5-10 games in a row of the season. It seems like they sort of haven't lost that, even if their fight is, this time it's for top 4. They're on some really good run of form right now, and it's a big win. It's a big win for them, especially as we'll get on to a couple of their other rivals did pick up wins. So if they didn't win this game, it would have been very disappointing for them, and they would have lost ground. But they had to win in the end. And yeah, Everton, I mean, their season's pretty much over. The only disappointing thing is Tarkowski got injured, and I'm not sure we'll be here till the rest of the season. So Southampton managed to pick up a point. Congratulations, they finally picked up a point here away from home against West Ham. A late goal from Leslie Ugochukwu in the 93rd minute. It was a fantastic goal, by the way, as well. Really well done. And you know what? Southampton deserved it. They actually played pretty decent. Created a couple decent chances for themselves. In the second half, they really applied the pressure late on. And yeah, that goal was coming, and it was a brilliant, well-taken goal by Ugochukwu. Obviously, it's only a point, and they're already relegated, but it's good to see there's still a bit of fight in the team. It's good to see they're still putting in performances. And that point does actually put them level, I believe, with Derby County's points tally. So they just need one more point from, I think, 5 games to avoid that Derby County points tally, which surely at this point they will get 1 point from their remaining games. So yeah, well done to them. But West Ham, man, wow. Another just really disappointing, lackluster performance from them. Jared Bowen scored a really nice goal. They did have a couple chances in this game to put it to bed, but they didn't do so. But yeah, West Ham dropping points here. I mean, this Graham Potter project has really not taken off yet. I don't think you can particularly blame him. He's sort of come into a situation where the team was all over the place defensively and it was a mess. He's come in and sort of just said, okay, we'll tighten up at the back, but the attack is really struggling. They really have struggled for goals. I mean, if we look at some of their last games in terms of goals, right, it's really not been great. One goal. They did score 2 versus Bournemouth, but 0-1-0. Scored 2 against Leicester. 1-1-1-1. Like, they really have been struggling for goals recently, and it's pretty crazy considering the talent they have here, right? This front four. But you know, Goodus under Potter, Paqueta under Potter haven't really had the same output they had previously. And yeah, I don't know. I think the jury's still out on Potter. He's got a lot of work to do come the summer and next season, because right now it's pretty boring. It's pretty bleak at West Ham, and dropping points at home to this Southampton side is pretty embarrassing. Next up, Aston Villa 4, Newcastle 1. Got some Ollie Watkins, Ian Martin, an own goal from Dan Burn, Amadou Onana and Fabian Schär. So an absolute cracker of a game here. It was a big clash for the race for European Champions League spots. And going into this, it was a pretty much do-or-die situation for Aston Villa, really. If they had lost this game, then top 5 hopes may have been gone for them. And if Newcastle had won this game, then top 5 hopes would be firmly in their sights right now. But Villa absolutely smashed Newcastle. I mean, it was a very entertaining game to watch. Both teams had some good chances. It was quite fast-paced and very good to watch as a neutral. But there was a goal in the first minute. It was pretty insane. But full credit to Aston Villa, because they were definitely the better side in this one. They really just took the game to Newcastle, and Newcastle from minute 1 really couldn't cope with this sort of direct nature of Aston Villa, who just went at their throats and were relentless in this game. And fair play to Villa. Absolutely fantastic performance and a huge win. A fantastic goal by Amadou Onana. Ollie Watkins was brilliant in this game, and I believe scored a goal to make him joint top goal scorer in Premier League history for Aston Villa, which is nice for him. Yeah, it was really good from Aston Villa. Really good. Well done to them. After that, very disappointing exit to PSG midweek, they've responded well, and now they've they've only got this, obviously FA Cup still, but Champions League's gone. They're fully focused now on top 5. If they're playing like this, they really could be a threat, and they're firmly in the mix for Champions League football next season. Newcastle, though, wow, yeah, what an abysmal performance that was from them. Really, really bad. As I said, it felt like they just couldn't match the intensity that Villa brought to them. Obviously, still without Eddie Howe for this game, and they had been on a really good run, but yeah, this was really, really poor, and a damaging defeat for them. Really, really poor. And Man City won as well, and so we get on to another contender. Chelsea won their game, so not good for Newcastle, and we'll move on to the Chelsea game. So Fulham 1, Chelsea 2, got some Alex Iwobi, Tyreek George and Pedro Neto. So Chelsea with a late comeback against Fulham, 2 goals in the last 10 minutes of this game, and they turn it around with a vital winner from Pedro Neto to keep the Champions League hopes alive. Fulham were sort of in a situation where, like a lot of clubs, it was do or die. If they win this game, I think they would have actually moved 3 points behind us and been a contender for Champions League football, but a loss would pretty much end their hopes of top 5. So yeah, their hopes are pretty much dashed after that. But I mean, for us, we were again kind of in a do or die situation. We've been in some really bad form, of course, lately, and with Man City winning, we really had to win. We've got some difficult games coming up too, so we had to win this. And I mean, if we had lost this, I feel like, the morale and everything would have just been out the window, and I think our Champions League hopes would have been completely gone. But the late comeback, Tyreek George and Pedro Neto coming up clutch. We needed a little bit of luck, we needed a little bit of individual brilliance, a little bit of magic, and that is what happened. Robinson just tapped it, unfortunately, to Tyreek George, who smashed it in. A really nice moment for Tyreek George, his first Chelsea goal in the Premier League. Fantastic moment for the youngster. And Pedro Neto in the 93rd minute, an absolute banger, seals the win. And I really do hope that this could be a catapult for our season, for the last remainder of the season. I really hope it is. I mean, the performance in general was not good. It was sort of what we've seen over the last few weeks, same old really. Struggling to break down a low block, poor chance creation, absolute stupid errors at the back. Reece James, don't know what he's doing for that goal for Alex Iwobi. But we found a way to win, and you saw the way they celebrated that Pedro Neto goal, running over to the backroom staff, and the scenes after the game. You saw how much it meant to the Chelsea players, and I really do hope this will be something we can use to kick on. I really hope it is. I don't know, it probably won't be. We'll probably just revert back to type again, but I really hope it is a confidence booster, and yeah, it keeps our hopes alive. Shout out to Maresca, because he's not done the best recently, but his substitutions and changes worked. He moved Pedro Neto to the right, and he was fantastic. And Tyreek George came on, obviously scored. We looked much better in the second half, thanks to his changes. But yeah, very pleased we managed to find a way to win. The performance in general wasn't great, but top 5 hopes are still alive thanks to that late comeback. So yeah, we'll take it. Right, next up, Ipswich 0, Arsenal 4, goals from Leandro Trossard, Martinelli, Ethan Nwaneri, and a red card for Leif Davis. So Arsenal stopped Liverpool's title being confirmed this weekend. I believe if Arsenal had drawn or lost this, then Liverpool's title would have been mathematically confirmed, but in the end it was a very comfortable win against Ipswich. They absolutely battered them from start to finish here. this game. It shows us 4-3-3, but like sort of Marino was playing up top with Trossard a little bit, and this was what he used against PSG when they played in the league phase in the Champions League. So some people saying, he's sort of using it. He might use this sort of same setup in the PSG game when they come up against him in the semis. Maybe, I don't know, but to be fair, if that is his plan, then this is exactly how he should be treating the rest of the games. They have nothing to play for Arsenal in the league, so it's sort of about, building those tactics, building momentum, going into the PSG game, trying some things. I don't mind that. I think that's a good idea, and hey, I mean, obviously not against great opposition, but it worked like a charm. Leandro Trossard got a brace, Marino, a nice little flick for a goal. Martinelli, he's been in some great form. Odegaard was back to his best. Saka looked good, although should have scored a goal. Very good performance from Arsenal. But Ipswich, I mean, this is really disappointing. They're sort of going down on a whimper really right now. They are one step closer to being mathematically confirmed relegated here. It's not completely confirmed yet, but it's almost done now, and you don't really want to go down like this. They've, I think, shown some real spirit, shown some real fight throughout the season, so really disappointing if they end the season and get relegated like this, because that was a really bad performance. Right, next up, Man United 0, Wolves 1, goal from Pablo Sarabia. So, yet another loss for Manchester United in the Premier League. I mean, wow, at this point it is not surprising, nor shocking, nor even sort of, funny anymore. Like, I'm a rival fan. I used to take some real joy when I would do these reviews talking about Man United losing again, but at this point it is what it is. We go into these games sort of expecting Wolves to win at this point. It was the same old really. Man United, a pretty below bar performance. I mean, Wolves weren't particularly great themselves, but United barely created anything so blunt in the attack. Some half chances. I mean, Højlund was awful up top again. The attack, yet again, just really, really poor. They rested a couple players, obviously, after going extra time against Lyon midweek. There was a Premier League debut for this guy, Fredrickson. But Man United, just a really poor, really lackluster, lacked belief performance. Of course, their season is completely done in the Prem. It's all Europa League for them, but I said it after Newcastle, I'll say it again. It's pretty much what I said about Arsenal. Look, you need to treat these games as something where you can build some momentum, you can build some confidence, and some players get their confidence up. For example, Arsenal took it very seriously. They fielded very strong at 11, and Leandro Trossard got 2 goals in that game. That's going to do him really good for his confidence, because he's maybe not been amazing recently. So hopefully going into the semis against PSG, if he plays, he'll be in some good confidence, have some good morale. He used a different tactic too, something he might use against PSG, try and experiment with it. I mean, this was just awful, right? Like Man United, you're getting no confidence in your players, in your team. Going into the Europa League, you got no momentum. In fact, you're getting the opposite. Players like Højlund, for example, are getting even more demotivated, and it's not good. It's not good that they're losing these games. Another really dismal performance from them. But shout out Wolves. As I said, I don't think they were particularly great in this game, but a moment of brilliance from Pablo Sarabia. Fantastic free kick, and that is Wolves mathematically safe. And can I just say what an amazing job this man here, Vitor Pereira, has done, because under Gary O'Neill, Wolves were really poor. They looked all but lost. They were really struggling, but Pereira has come in slowly, got better and better, and now they're at the point where I think that's 5 wins in a row. Now they're one of the most informed teams in the Prem. and they're playing some really good football, playing with confidence, and yeah, well done Pereira. I cannot wait to see what happens next season with a full year under him and a great win for them, who I think might even be closing in on Man United in the table. But anyways, Leicester City 0, Liverpool 1, goal from Trent Alexander-Arnold. So, Liverpool could not win the title after Arsenal won against Ipswich in this game, but they could relegate Leicester City, and that is exactly what they did with a 1-0 victory. Trent Alexander-Arnold with a kind of late goal to get the winner and officially relegate Leicester City. And I mean, if we're talking about Leicester, obviously I'm not going to just judge them on this game. I mean, this game, they weren't particularly great, but I also think this is the first. They broke like a record. I think that's 9 home games in a row without scoring. But if we're talking as Leicester as the season, for me, I think they were doomed from the very beginning. I mean, look at this team, right? I don't think there's one Premier League level player in this Leicester squad, if I'm being completely honest. I'm not sure there is. Their squad is just not ready for this level. Quite frankly, the recruitment in the summer was abysmal. They lost one of their best players last season in Dewsbury Hall, never really replaced him, never invested that money properly into the squad, never addressed key areas such as centre-back, such as striker. Yeah, it was a dismal season. They started with Steve Cooper, who was doing okay, but he was sort of getting the best out of a bad squad, but they were playing some really poor football and their performances were bad, even if they were getting results, and it sort of felt inevitable that it was going to fail. Eventually it did, and sacked him. Rude comes in, little new manager bounce, but yeah, now they've reverted back to type. I don't think you can blame Ruud van Nistelrooy for the season. I don't think you can blame Steve Cooper for the season. I think you can name the recruitment, you can blame the directors, owners for the position they've put this squad in. I'm not sure how many managers in world football would have even saved this Leicester squad, if I'm being completely honest. So yeah, I expect Ruud van Nistelrooy to be sacked. I think, as I said, I don't think it's particularly his fault they've been relegated here, but they're clearly just not going anywhere with him right now. It's been a dismal end to the season. So yeah, I'm expecting them to get rid of him, and let's see what happens if they can bounce back in the Championship. But they're going to need a whole clear out, in my opinion. They need a whole clear out. They need to get players like Samari, Faz, Pereira, Ndidi. I mean, Daka, Justin. These guys have been there for like 5-6 years at this point, and they at points have shown their levels at the Premier League, but the last 2 seasons have not been good enough for the Prem, so I don't know why they're still here. But yeah, what a poor season for Leicester. As for Liverpool, yeah, it was a deserved victory. They battered Leicester as expected. They couldn't find the back of the net for whatever reason, but it was of course that man Trent who came back from injury in this game and got the winner. Took his shirt off. It seemed almost like it was a very passionate celebration, and maybe we can't read too much into that, because I think afterwards he sort of said, I've been back from injury and just wanted to prove a point and stuff. But for me, I think it was a lot of this was sort of his moment where it's probably one of his last big moments in a Liverpool shirt. He is obviously very likely to be joining Real Madrid, so that maybe is one of the last goals he's going to score in a Liverpool shirt, and he sort of, took off his shirt out of pure emotion and passion. But yeah, well done to Liverpool. They get the win as expected and move one step closer to the Premier League title. Mo Salah, though, he had another game without a goal. I mean, I don't know how he didn't score that chance early in the game where he hit the post. Is a bit unlucky, but yeah, what's happened to Salah? I think that's like 6, 7, 8 games now without a goal in the Prem, which is quite concerning. Alright, anyways, so that is the Premier League. Let's have a look at the table. So yeah, Liverpool are top, and I think one win maybe will confirm sure. Newcastle remain in third, but they are 1 point ahead of Manchester City now, and Chelsea are 2 points behind them too. So it's very close here. We'll see what happens with Forest against Spurs, and Villa also on 57. So it's really tight between these guys, and it's really tight between Bournemouth, Fulham, Brighton, and Brentford. Wolves temporarily have leapfrogged Spurs, so Spurs have dropped to 16th in the table, and Leicester and Southampton are officially relegated. Right, before we go, I'm going to talk a little bit about some results across Europe, because there were some really big results in terms of title races and stuff. So we'll start with the Championship, where all of the big three for once actually won their games. So Leeds won 1-0 against Oxford, Burnley beat Watford 2-1, and Sheffield beat Cardiff 2-0. So this all remains the same in terms of the title race, but it is Burnley versus Sheffield. Actually, I think maybe today by the time you see this, which is going to be huge for the title race. I believe if Burnley win, they will be promoted officially. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. But let's go to La Liga, where there was some absolute craziness in La Liga. So it started with Barcelona, absolutely mental. They won 4-3 against Celta Vigo, an absolute banger. They were 3-1 down at one point, and they clawed it back. 64th minute, 3-2, 68th minute, 3-3, and then 98th minute, a penalty from Rafinha kept his bottle with a huge goal to turn it around and complete the comeback, and they win 4-3. Huge for Barcelona in the title race. And yeah, Rafinha with a brace, with a clutch goal, adding to his Ballon d'Or credentials here. And absolutely massive, because if they dropped points, it really would have opened the door for Real Madrid, but they managed to find a way to win. Although Lewandowski did get injured in this game, and I believe is missing for the Inter semi-final and the Copa del Rey final, so that is going to be a really big miss. We'll see how Barca deal with that, but that win became more important because Atletico pretty much mathematically, well, not mathematically, but pretty much confirmed that they are out of the La Liga title race officially. Here, a 93rd minute loss to Las Palmas. And Real Madrid almost messed up, but again a late goal from Fede Valverde. 93rd minute banger from Valverde keeps the title hopes alive for Madrid. Absolutely huge. So both Madrid and Barca with late goals, which means we remain at just 4 points separating them. So yeah, very dramatic. Both teams almost drop points, but they both find a way to win. Over in the Bundesliga, however, it does look like the title race is pretty much done now after Bayern Munich smashed Heidenheim 4-0 away from home, and then Bayer Leverkusen dropped points to St. Pauli 1-1. Yeah, really poor. That now means with just 4 games left, Leverkusen are 8 points away, and yeah, that looks like a pretty surmountable task. It's highly unlikely Leverkusen are now going to win the league, and it does seem that Bayern Munich are almost champions of Germany once again. So yeah, disappointing to see Leverkusen collapse like that. But yeah, Bayern Munich look like they will be winning the Bundesliga unless something crazy happens and they collapse. Over in Serie A, there was also a massive twist in the title race, because Napoli did beat where was it? Monza 1-0. Scott McTominay coming up clutch in the 72nd minute. But Inter Milan dropped a late goal 71 points, so it is all to play for right now in Serie A. Definitely the best title race in Europe right now. Both teams on 71 points with 5 games to go. It's gonna go right down to the wire. So huge twist there. And also Atalanta beat AC Milan, and that was also a big win for Bologna too, for their top 4 hopes. But yeah, that was the European leagues and the Premier League review. Let me know your thoughts on any of the games we discussed, and if you guys have enjoyed, please do leave a like. Consider subscribing